this was the craziest day that ever happened to me. And I don't think I liked it.
Hello and welcome to episode 6 of the I Went Outside Today podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Chris.
I'm Cheryl.
I'm angry at them. And I'm also Sydney.
And welcome. So, as we mentioned last episode, we're still in the middle of Gold Hunt, which is, well, we got some updates with that we'll talk about on the Gold Hunt episode. But we took a little break from hunting for gold to take Sydney out to the Creationist Museum, which is a place that Cheryl and I had been to last year around this time. And we thought this would definitely make for a great podcast episode because it was quite the experience and quite the trip. Mm-hmm. And as you can hear from Sydney's opening, it has made an impact.
I have content. Let's start with that. Sometimes we do some of these episodes or we have these ideas and I'm like, am I going to have content? Am I going to be able to make it funny? I have things to say.
They might not be funny though.
They might not be
They're
funny.
pretty scary, I'm sure.
It was funnier earlier before I really started going over it in my head. We'll mention that I did this event with my best friend of 20 years. And if you want to test your friendship, you should take your best friend to this fucking place. And if you make it out alive and you're not angry at each other after, you win.
You took it like a champ.
I really took it on the chin, honestly.
For like 3 hours.
For 3 solid hours.
So to describe to the people who are listening to our podcast, this thing is like a small room. It's like maybe 10 feet by 10 feet. Like it's
claustrophobic.
Yeah.
It's a small house.
Yeah, it's a small house. So it's not like this is a large area for 3 hours of material to be up on the walls anywhere.
It's not 3 hours worth of material.
Mm-hmm. And we knew this before,
yes.
So when we brought it up with Sydney, because like what happened to her is the same as what happened to us. We're like, you know, don't just walk around. If they offer the tour, take the tour, because the owner of the museum is there and he is, I don't know if passionate's the right word, but he is
eccentric.
He's there.
He's got some things to say.
Yeah, I wasn't really that nervous. And then, so first of all, we had to take a 2-hour trip. I had like the basic rundown of it. And then I was mainly like anxious about remembering my fake name because I don't know if I think I mentioned on the last podcast, I was having like a complete meltdowns over whether or not to use my fake name. I've never been so fucking happy in my life that I use a fake name. Mm-hmm. And I remembered it and I made my friend remember it and just thank Jesus this person doesn't have my real name.
Yeah, because when Cheryl and I had gone, I had booked, because it's not a museum that you can just walk into. You need to book a showing for him to be there, because I guess he doesn't man it at normal business hours. But when I booked it under my email address, I'd found out when we'd showed up that he knew a lot about me because he Googled my name and stalked me online.
So creepy.
Yeah. So, yeah, good move on using your fake personality. How are you feeling about using this this fake ID of yours?
I felt like it was like a really good security blanket in this situation. I offered my friend a fake name. I thought that she could be Jacinta, but she didn't have time to. You got to get into like the mindset of being in your fake name, I feel. She wasn't ready. I sprung it on her. So, but also she only gave her first name, so I feel like that's okay. And she has a more common name than I do.
Oh, yeah.
But I liked it. I liked using a fake name. Thank fucking Christ he doesn't know my real name. He's crazy.
Yes. So, yeah, like, it kind of started off quiet enough. It's, like, sleepy, small town. Things are still well under COVID lockdown, so not a whole lot going on.
Well, we're not under, like, lockdown.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot happening.
Correct.
We're in a safe area. Yeah. Otherwise, people are going to, like, assault us for if they think we're leaving during a lockdown.
Assault might not be the right word, but we live in...
I'm sorry, I'm feeling assaulted
Okay,
today.
okay.
I don't even mean that funnily. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I feel mentally assaulted
Yes,
today.
I'm
But anyway,
sure.
just to clarify.
Yes.
Yep. So 2-hour drive to reach this sleepy small town. We all piled out of the car and dropped you and your friend off at the front door. And
All started at the beginning, the whole bathroom incident.
the whole bathroom incident.
Well, we have been there before. You tried to get the key for the other bathroom. They told you to, like, not go there.
Yeah.
Sent you to the other bathroom, and then all these people were like looking at us because we just like went into our washroom. That was all awkward.
So afterwards, I learned there's actually a side entrance to get to the washroom where we don't have to go through the restaurant.
We need to do more research,
Uh-huh.
guys.
Yeah, I only noticed it once the large group of bikers was outside, and I couldn't go through them to get to the bathroom.
Well, now we know
Yes, now we know.
for all of our future trips.
Yeah, when we subject somebody else to this torture.
You'll see by the end, you kind of are gonna want to. It's like the Ring video where you kind of like you shouldn't pass it on, but you want to.
Yeah.
So yeah, we dropped you and your friend off right at the front door and didn't see you for another 3 hours.
Yeah.
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 Now
Yeah.
during that time, Chris and I were occasionally like, should we make sure they're okay? Should we check in and like, because it was a lot to deal with their first time going through, and you know, and then we decided against it. We were just like, no, they'll figure it out. They're adults.
We are adults. We are. I need a minute to collect myself. I'm having a full-on flashback. I'm not even trying to be like cute or cheeky. I'm like legit.
Let's
flashback.
ride into that flashback. So you open the door and then...
Well, I did want to start by saying that, like, an interesting thing. I learned a couple things about myself. I think that the main things that I learned are that if this had worked out the first time and I had gone by myself, I would still fucking be there waiting on an extraction team. I think that I am too polite for no reason, especially when people don't deserve it. And it also made me think that earlier in this podcast, I believe I said gypsy curse a couple times. I've since been pointed out to me that it's racist in some areas, which was not my intent. I was, kind of basing it on like a book that I read. And then I thought, oh, maybe it's not that big a deal, or maybe I should go back. I didn't really know. I was going back and forth. The shit that this dude said to me today was like horrifying. Literally, I cannot remember another time in my life where I've stood in front of someone and been fucking horrified. So I hope that people are not horrified by my use of that. And I'm not going to say it anymore because I think you have to grow and have some fucking self-awareness about just make everyone feel nice in the world and not horrified. So that was my little segue. We walk in the door. This is me and my best friend, and we are there for a tour that was booked under the Lindsay Grubay name, and we're going to have a little tour, and we had our $5 is out. He was like, hi, and I said, hi, I'm Lindsay. I booked the tour, and he comes up, and I'm going to maybe fuck some of this stuff up because Chris and Cheryl will tell you, like, you kind of black some stuff out, and, like, it's so much, but, so we get in, and I think he immediately started to feel us out by talking about what did we know about different, like, basically types of science. Like, did we know what empirical science was? Did we know what theoretical science was? He'll always ask you in this manner that I feel is designed to overwhelm you and make you feel stupid. Do you know? And, like, if you don't have his definition, then you're stupid and you're wrong. So that was, like, off the bat, because he said empirical science, and I mean, like, do you mean, like, empirical data? Do you mean applied science? Like, I watched The Big Bang Theory, you guys, the early seasons. They talk about theoretical physics and applied physics.
Yes.
Because you either are talking about physics in theory, or you're talking about how you apply physics to the world.
Yes.
And he was like, no, it's not applied physics, it's empirical. And I'm like, what's the fucking difference? Cheryl, you're a scientist. What's the fucking difference?
I don't do physics, but
But you like between those words.
No, I don't think there's any difference.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
run
you.
by the Empire. Which is the dark side.
So immediately tried to disarm us with some shit like that. Told us that we were both scientific racists a couple times. We're like at the door.
Did he ever define what scientific racism was?
He did not. He ranted a lot, but I would not. We never had a moment where like we stopped and like defined our terms.
Okay.
Which is like what I would have expected.
I'm just checking because like scientific racist sounds weird, and I don't even know in my head what that would be.
What it was, according to the tour, was that I am a racist because I have been indoctrinated and educated. Well, for him, education and indoctrination are the same in our society.
Okay.
So to him, I am a racist because I've been indoctrinated through my education, especially within science, to be that way. Mm-hmm. So that's scientific racism.
Okay.
For his crazy,
yeah,
for what I'm saying and putting out into the world.
Fair.
I found a definition for scientific racism.
Please.
Whoa.
Sometimes termed biological racism is a pseudoscientific belief that empirical evidence exists to support or justify racism, racial inferiority, or racial superiority. Historically, scientific racism received credence through the scientific community, but is no longer considered scientific. That's from Wikipedia.
That would have been fun to have before. I feel like next time you could send me in with some facts. Like when you send me into speed dating, you give me those little cards. I feel like I could maybe have some things the next time that you want to traumatize me.
But would he have actually let you get a word in edgewise?
No, of course not. So we're literally still at the front door, guys. We haven't given him our $5. Me and like my best friend is very like just craves and appreciates a bit of structure. Like we didn't have anywhere to put our coats down. There was no like come in. This like at the front door asking us like what do we know about science, all this kind of stuff. So then I think at a certain point we were able to put our purses down, and then the museum is basically designed in a circle. Just stop when you have questions. Does that work? I'm just gonna like go through it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you can just fucking stop when you have a question. So it tells us that we're racist. He then like goes behind the counter, and I think we were still talking about how my friend and I are racists.
Just for clarification for everyone,
I'm not a racist.
Well, not only that, the guy giving the tour is a white male.
Yes, and he
Yes.
he said that a bunch of times at the beginning about how he's a white, blonde-haired, he has gray hair, blue-eyed man, like a bunch of things he said in a row, and I can't remember. I think my friend said he said single. I don't remember the order, but that he was like a truck driving, basically getting a point that he's like a white redneck and that people hate him, and he was trying to allude to the fact that people hate white, blue-eyed, blonde-haired people, and like trying to get us to like call him a Nazi or like bring that up. And we were like, okay, you're like this, like a lot of people in Alberta are right bags, like to be fair.
Yeah.
So then he like went behind the counter. He was still talking. We didn't even really know when this. I guess the tour started when we walked in the door, but it was like not. There was like no start to the tour. It was just like a start of the assault. And then he started talking about evolution. He didn't define what it meant to be a creationist. He didn't define what his like thought of evolution was. Nothing was defined. And then he basically said that if evolution was able to be played out to its logical endpoint, that he would be out in the world like raping people and taking whatever he wanted. And that, well, he said that we all would, not him specifically. I'm paraphrasing a little, but that was basically, he said like we would all be raping each other. And then we kind of didn't say anything. And then he said that me and my friend would be rapists too, maybe. Like, so my friend said like, not everyone aspires to be a rapist. And he said, well, sex feels good. And she said, well, there's a difference between sex and rape. This is a real conversation that she had today. Well, I was just like literally shell-shocked and didn't even know what to say.
With a 60-year-old man, by the way.
Yeah. So that was weird. And then I honestly don't even remember how he came out from the other side of the counter. I think during that time, while she was trying to like make that distinction, I was literally thinking, thank God I didn't come here alone. Chris and Cheryl assure me that they would have sent an extraction team, but I was really happy I wasn't there alone. So then we went over to the other side, and the first board is the icons of evolution.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all the evolution things that you would understand from your science class, and then why they are wrong is the point. If you have 5 seconds to read the text, which you don't have,
No.
you are not allowed that time on the tour. So it's called the icons of evolution. But, like, it has I'm going to fuck this up because I wasn't a good science student. It's got a picture of, like, this little horsey that's a little wild horsey. And then it goes all the way to a big horsey as we know today. And then he says, that's wrong. Horsies didn't evolve that way. But you never get around to why. And it's got a picture of, like, a gorilla going to a man. But you never get around to why that's wrong. It's just, like, I don't know. Maybe if you read the text, it makes more sense.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us
Wrong.
ever read the text.
We tried to pull out of him a billion times why it was incorrect. And he would go on, like, just different rants. Literally every hot button issue you could think of, he threw at us. And I think he was waiting for us to fight with him or fight with each other. When me and my friend are really, we're not cancel culture people. We're not outrage people. If people are going to say some crazy shit, we kind of want to listen and before you can do anything, you need to nail down what they think.
You gotta let people dig their own grave.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wasn't even honestly thinking that. I do agree, but I wasn't even that far into it yet. I was literally, what do you believe? And then we can have some fun. Like,
Yeah, you guys were saying he was talking about the Me Too movement and Black Lives Matter.
immediately wanted to explain the Me Too movement in front of this icons of evolution. And we're like, what does that have to do? Like, how do you relate it back? We're trying to figure out why the little horsey doesn't become the big horsey. That's, like, what we want to know. And he starts talking about, I'm going to explain to you about Me Too. I'm paraphrasing all of this, guys, because it was, the point of this tour is that he overwhelms you and intimidates you with information. I'm just going to put that out there as, like, a fact of what it is.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to quote everything perfectly, but essentially he wanted to explain what the Me Too movement actually was. And my friend sort of, tongue-in-cheek was like, do I want you as a white man to explain what Me Too is? Like, sure, go ahead. Like, it's a bit silly. We understand what Me Too is.
Yes.
And he couldn't even really stay on track of Me Too because he was getting that confused with, like, Pizzagate and other things.
Yeah, he's, like, very on top of, like, every conspiracy all time. And, like, it's like...
and he was confusing them.
It's a conspiracy salad.
Yes.
Yeah, that's such a great way to put it.
Yes.
It is a conspiracy salad. So he was mixing them up a little bit, and we sort of kept going, but why is the little horsey not become the big horsey? Like,
What happened to the horse?
We couldn't relate it back to why evolution was wrong.
Was it because of Me Too?
Maybe. We never nailed down a point for him on, like, what he went on a tirade about how basically Me Too was, like, some things that were bad happened to women, but then, like, with Harvey Weinstein, other women, this is not me saying this is what this person, like, I'm paraphrasing what he said to me. I just need to make that so clear a million times. But basically saying that they got paid to, like, come together and, like, take Harvey Weinstein down, not. And then so I said, so though you're saying that those women were never assaulted? And he said, no, they were assaulted, but they were paid to bring it up 20 years later. Which is, like, you can't get a word in edgewise with this guy to, like, I mean, he wants you to get in a fight.
Mm.
He wants to, like, knock you off balance.
Yeah, he wants to disarm you. He wants to be in a fight. And we kind of get going back to, like, how does that, like, relate to your museum? And my friend was, like, so much more on point than I was about this because I was just like, I don't even know what to do with all this.
Yeah, you get pretty shell-shocked. Like, he's throwing so much information at you so fast. And as we discussed on the drive back, it never forms a coherent thought. It always, like, gets partway there and then just stops.
Yeah. Or, like, something. Or I found a lot of his tactics had to do with, like, distracting you.
Yes.
You could not nail down a fucking idea with this guy.
Yes.
You couldn't get him to put anything on paper because that's not what it's about.
No.
It's about confusing you and getting you worked up. And so we never got to the bottom of, like, if he really believes and, like, how it relates to fucking evolution. We were really trying to have that single-minded approach of, like, we're at this one board. We want to know a little horsey to the big horsey.
Mm.
Tell us why it's wrong. and he's talking about Me Too. And he's talking about Black Lives Matter, and he's talking about coronavirus, all these things. And he's sort of talking in a way to plant doubt in your head, I guess.
You need to tell our listeners about his thoughts on coronavirus and how the lines in the shopping store are against him.
He is quite upset about the directional pathway arrows, and that he doesn't think that he should have to follow them, and he calls them line Nazis, and he repeatedly about 10 times asks, are we going to visit him in jail because he's going to walk the wrong way down the aisle because he's a dickhead, because he's sort of trying to say, without committing to it, that he doesn't believe coronavirus is real. Which I thought was interesting. I don't know if I've ever been this, like, head-to-head with someone about, like, this much crazy. This was, like, we talked about it in the car on the way back, where we had a whole big debrief. This was, like, really, like, I feel like what it's like to be in a room with Alex Jones.
Yes.
Like, this was, like, pretty fucking real. He also, I completely skipped over, and I forget in what context, but within the first, like, 5 minutes, he mentioned Hitler. But yeah, my friend was pointing out that my mom has always said the first person in an internet argument to mention Hitler is the one that loses. Mm-hmm. And we literally walked in the fucking door, and this guy's like, your scientific race is #Hitler. It's like, what it fucking felt like. Really? It's what it felt like. This was the craziest day that ever happened to me. And I don't think I liked it. Like, at all. Like, I'm laughing, but I don't think it was that funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's nervous laughter.
I'm laughing to cope.
Yes.
He is a crazy person. I've lost my train of thought. We haven't even made it around the corner yet, you guys.
So this is still just the first panel. There's 4 panels on this.
Yeah, 4 sides.
Whatever display he's got. And so this is only the first panel of the 4.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's, like, overwhelming enough. If you were just to go look at the information, it's over, because there's pictures of a little horse and a big horse and a gorilla and then a man, and then there's, like, these flies. There's all these pictures, and then on the other side, I literally don't have any fucking idea what's on the other side. Mm-hmm. There were some telephones. I couldn't tell you fucking anything that was going on. So we were, like, not even making it around the corner. We're not even talking about evolution. He keeps, like, mentioning these hot topic buttons, I think, trying to get us to react. And we're just trying to figure out, like, what it has to do with evolution. And I really feel like he's just saying, like, anything to have a reaction. He had already pegged us as socialists. And then at this point, my friend said, you know, we don't even really know if we are socialists. We didn't come in here as, like, fucking Marxist communists to, like, bring you down. I would say that we are between liberal and socialist.
I still wonder if he, like, Googled your fake name and then did a bunch of, like, recon on some random person.
So I Googled Lindsay Grube.
Is she a socialist? Because we might have to send her a basket.
So one of the Lindsay Grubes I found is actually a Christian and does Christian things in her community. So I'm not sure if he actually Googled it or not, but I found 3 on LinkedIn. So.
Well, he did Google Chris.
Yeah.
That's interesting, too, because I might have disarmed him. I just showed up with a bitch. Like, he was not expecting my friend or able to Google her or know who she was.
Yeah. Well, the same thing though when Chris and I went, because he said he was bringing 2 people, and he only had his name. He didn't say who I was.
Yeah.
So they had no way of, which is for the best, really, because I don't think he would have been happy to find that my career choice was biologist. Mm-hmm. So
what you're saying is, like, maybe he really was trying to, like, bond with me a lot and, like, attack some of her stuff a bit. So, Lindsay, if you're out there, we can send you a basket. I'm sorry for using your name. I didn't know. So, we're still in the first panel. I have to, like, kind of jump around, you guys, because I don't even remember everything.
It's true. Like, the same thing happened to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming.
We couldn't recreate the experience if someone had to make a movie of our life of that moment, we couldn't really, like, say what happened in what order.
Yeah. I would agree with that. And that's not an encouragement to go there.
Say, like, stream of consciousness almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's all internet forum conspiracy theories, and you can barely catch up to, like, what he's saying. Like, you are on a ride.
I was lost, and I took a full dose. I'm maxed out on Adderall, and I was lost.
When we were talking about it in the car, I kind of described him as, like, an internet troll in real life. Like,
Yeah.
if you were to take somebody on the internet who's making up all this crazy stuff and saying the worst possible things in existence, that would be him.
Yeah. So, yeah, we haven't even made it around the corner. And the other thing that he brought up, and I have no idea how we segued to this, but he talked about Me Too. He couldn't get us on that because you got to keep in mind, we're trying to nail down why is small horse to big horse wrong. That's what we want to fucking know. And we can't nail it down with him. So he talks about Black Lives Matter and is just trying hot buttons. And then I forget how we got there, but he starts talking about how like money isn't real anymore. I believe he was attempting to say that banks are insolvent. And then he starts talking about everything is going to digital currency and cryptocurrency. And he's like mid-tirade. And I am like not real. I think, first of all, Chris and Cheryl really overestimated my ability to navigate this and get out of this by myself. And I'm very happy that I had a friend. Or maybe I would have panicked and found my way out by myself, but I have no confidence in that.
We were already, like, at the 2.5 hour mark. Chris was like, I wonder if I should call them. And I was like, it'll be fine.
Yeah, they did like leave the place.
So they
were around.
Yeah, at the 3 hour mark, we were sending them messages like, "Are you okay? Do you need assistance?"
Yes,
and
they're not monsters.
No,
I'm joking about being mad.
Yeah,
for comedic value. I should make that clear. But I do think like a little bit. You guys thought like I would. I don't know. Did you think I was going to be more like able to handle it? Because I was supposed to go by myself.
I expected at the most less for about as long as Cheryl and I did, which was about 2.5 hours.
By myself, you thought that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you met me?
So that's the longest we thought.
What was your like honest to God like vibe? Like an hour? Or...
Maybe an hour and a half.
I didn't know how to leave.
Oh,
though.
see, I thought it was going to be at least 2 hours. I honestly thought it was going to be at least 2 hours. But at the same time, like, I kind of figured, because when comparing notes on the drive back, he sounds like he was way crazier this time than when Chris and I went.
I don't want to say way crazier. Like, we had all the bad times and you, like, don't even know. I think you put up with some shit.
We did, but it wasn't, like, there was no Me Too movement, and there was no...
There was like a little bit of sexist.
Did he call you a raper?
But like old-timey sexist comments.
Yeah.
Like stuff you'd expect from an older person.
Correct. Like he would talk to Chris a lot and would kind of ignore me, and I got the impression that he figured I didn't know very much, which I know more about the subjects he's talking about than probably Chris knows.
Yeah, you know more than me.
Yeah, and so it's kind of like, I mean, it's fine if he wants to make those assumptions, but it's also kind of unfair. But at the same time, I don't want him to know that I know more about it.
That's true.
Because he's egging people on. He even makes jokes about, like, wanting to, like, fight with people and argue over these topics. And I don't want to have a fight with this guy.
Yeah, he talked about how he liked people, like, visiting from the Tyrrell Museum so he could, like, fight with them.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll get to that later on what he said to us.
Royal Tyrrell Museum. Amazing dinosaur museum.
Yes.
So if you want to learn about evolution for reals, you head down there and you'll have a great time. And you'll exit through the gift shop with arms full of cool things.
And go to the Hoodoos.
Yes.
Go to the Hoodoos.
Our podcast is now sponsored by Drumheller.
It should be, really.
Please sponsor
We should
us,
all
Drumheller.
get free passes to the museum.
I should get free passes from you guys because of what you did to me today.
Technically, I have a free pass already.
Give it to me.
No. I earned that from volunteering, so.
I earned it. I earned it from what happened. But really, I mean...
I got you some pizza.
You did. We're almost there, but not quite. I still want to go to the museum. I'll pay for my entrance fee, but I demand to be taken to the dinosaur museum.
We will take you to the museum.
And I want to go back to the Hoodoos, too.
We can do that.
Okay. And an ice cream store.
Okay.
Okay. But, I mean, I do think that your ability, you might have overestimated me. I didn't know how to fucking move. Like, I really feel like if I hadn't been there with my friend, I would still be at the fucking door. He may have come and extracted me, but it was my friend who, like, got us around the corner. I have to back up. Through some part of his rant, he started talking about how we're getting into digital currency and it's all a big conspiracy. I feel like he was trying to say that, like, banks aren't solvent. I feel like that's why digital currency was bad, but he kept interchanging that with cryptocurrency. And cryptocurrency is a big conspiracy. Based on everything he had said up to that point, I stopped him. This is like one of the first times that I interrupted him. And I said, like, hey, cryptocurrency by definition is a decentralized currency. Like, why wouldn't you be on board with that? You're talking about like the Bilderbergs and how everything's all controlled by a secret power. Cryptocurrency is not that by definition. You should be in favor of that as like, I would think. I could be wrong.
As a solution.
Yeah, I'm like waiting to hear from all the crazies, but I would think that if you are afraid of a central power of a small group of people, then you want a decentralized currency.
Yeah.
And that is what cryptocurrencies are. So that was like the first time that I interrupted him. We're still on the first panel at this point.
Looking at some fruit flies.
The fucking fruit. We got around the corner because Jasmine literally is a bad bitch and literally just walked around the corner. We were at the first panel for like an hour. And he was just, I feel, honestly testing different hot topics. And maybe I'm a monster because he only got me on cryptocurrency. But, like, it wasn't out of outrage. It was out of, wouldn't this be something you're in favor of? To me, it was the first time I felt like, okay, this is, not the first time, but to me, it was like, I guess, a kill shot. Where I felt like, you actually don't know what you're talking about. Because you would not be talking about the conspiracy of cryptocurrency if you didn't want like a centralized power.
But you kind of like experienced what I felt when I was there. Like I thought I had my kill shot point because he like went off on his stories about how the dinosaur bones that are in museums are manufactured in Asia. It's like a big conspiracy. So I'm like, I asked him because like he posits like dinosaurs did exist and they did exist the same time as people. I'm thinking in my head, like, all right, if this is true, like the dinosaurs amassed like a large number of species. So I like asked him like, all right, where did all the dinosaurs go? And he just like danced around the question and then like went and veered off on a tangent.
A different thing.
We never came back to it.
So when I was saying the dictionary like definition or whatever of cryptocurrency is that it's decentralized, he said, yeah, I know that, but, and then he went off into something else. And I think then he said, well, let's get back to my point about Me Too. And then we never talked about cryptocurrency again. I mean, you go in, or in our case, we go in knowing it was going to be a little crazy, that we obviously weren't going to agree. But I feel like it is upsetting when you feel like you have a kill shot lined up.
Yeah.
And then it goes to shit. And you're just like...
He just dances around the question and he keeps going, and it is like wild. So when we went and we were like thinking of podcast ideas, like we gotta send you here to see what your experience would be, because this is like not like normal.
No.
And this is the fucking sickness, you guys. I got in the car, and what did I want to do? I want to send my mom there. I want to send someone else who might. It's a sickness. You want to see, I think, who can survive it.
Yeah.
And also maybe just validate your experience.
Yes.
You guys are validated. I'm
Yes.
mad at you, but I validate your experience. I'm glad I don't even know how you could do it alone. I would have felt like totally gaslit.
So, an interesting thing for our listeners, this was the first trip Chris and I took together.
And you guys are still together.
We're still together.
That's fun. He did a couple things to us, like just skipping ahead a bit, where he would really point at me and be like, she gets it, she gets it. Or point at my friend and be like, she gets it, she gets it. And really try and pit us against each other, not like knowing who we were. Like, this is my best friend of 20 years. We literally are like the same mind on a lot of things. And we're not going to leave a crazy person's museum angry at each other. But that's what I feel like is the dangerous part of this shit. It's about getting everyone angry and divided.
Yeah, like when we were talking in the car on the way back, after listening to the stuff went through and figuring out the stuff that like Chris and I went through and like thinking about it, I was like, he's clearly trying to pick a fight. There's no other reason behind all the information he's throwing at you, because he's not even on topic. Like, the entire museum, there's nothing really about creationism. It's just verbal diarrhea. There's no other way to explain what he's doing.
You will not go here and learn what creationists believe.
No.
That is not correct.
Unless he lets you read the plaques. Because, like, the plaques do have weird scientific loopholes and things that could point to, like current scientific theory being wrong or incomplete. But it's not what the spoken tour is about. The spoken tour is
different.
about, like, the whole world and nothing but this museum after the first
And, like, yeah.
minute.
His literal anxiety word vomit. So we basically get around the corner because my friend is, like, a bad bitch. And just, like, she has some time, but not a ton of time. And she saw a stool and she did not wear comfortable shoes. So she went and, like, got the stool and just, like, sat down. And I mean, I didn't tell her she was going on a hike. She knew that we were going on a car ride. So, yeah, she didn't wear...
Yeah.
She just wore little flats, like no arch support. And I wore runners because I'm trash and I only own runners. And so she went and got the little stool. And that was when I kind of felt like she's going to be the one to get us out of here. Because I didn't want to be rude and move ahead. And I don't even know what that is, like, in me. Like, in, like, retrospect, I'm, like, mad at myself. That I didn't, like, I wasn't more move it along. We were in there for so long. Like, 3 hours on paper, but literally we were in there for so long.
I made that joke when Chris and I were walking around. Because we were like, I was like, oh, it's only, like, a half hour longer, or shorter than what Chris and I went through. And then I was like, but when you're in there, it feels like way more than a half hour.
It was different. I literally said there's a real fucking big difference in that half hour. So we get around the corner, and I'm like, she's going to save us. Because I am feeling weird, and I don't know how to move ahead. And I don't know why we're stuck at this corner, not reading the plaques, talking about Me Too. She gets us around the corner. She's the real MVP of the whole story. Gold trophy for her. Mm-hmm. So then he goes to this, like, DNA. Do you guys remember the spinning DNA helix model?
I do. Remember the spinning DNA.
So this is how I didn't even say I apologize. At one point in his rampage, he told us that he's going to disprove evolution chemically, biologically, mathematically, historically, and something else.
Empirically?
Maybe. That seems like a thing, but I feel like that's math. No. He did ask us at the very beginning. Sorry to jump around. He did ask us at the very beginning, literally, like, after he called us racists, he was like, who's right in the world? And we were like, about what? Like, about what? And he said, morally, who decides what's right? And so Jasmine says, our courts, our laws, like that kind of thing. And then he looks at me and I said, I don't know, like a philosopher, like an expert was basically my answer. Well, what philosopher? And I said, I don't know. It depends on my fucking mood. Like maybe a nihilist. Like, I don't know. Like now I'm feeling a little nihilistic in the moment with this dude fucking assaulting me. Not in I shouldn't say assaulted. It felt like a mental assault. So anyway, now I've lost my train of thought.
The double helix. The helix of rotating DNA.
The DNA.
Yeah, we make it on our fucking journey to the helix, and he says, chemically, this is how he's disproving it. And he screamed all the chemicals at us, and I don't remember why that's wrong.
Did he actually scream at you?
Well, he was yelling.
He was yelling?
Really?
It was like Ray's voice. He was
wow.
very, not like yelling, but like loud, like worked up, like manic.
Okay.
Not quietly, not an inside museum voice. And he just like rattles them all off, and I literally cannot tell you why they were not correct. Like there are those chemicals in the body. And he kept trying to go back to it, but like keep in mind, guys, like all the time during this, he's saying he's just going back to about Me Too and all these other things, like trying to find the trigger, what's gonna make us erupt. I really feel, because I don't have another way to explain it. So I never got an answer on why the spinning helix was incorrect, but that was the proof chemically. Then there were a bunch of fossils. If I remember correctly, one of the categories was maybe geology. I don't know. So many things happened. But there's...
I think you had one in there that kind of demonstrated that certain things can fossilize very quickly.
Yes.
So you got the bear
Yeah.
and the hat.
Correct.
So at this point, we're trying to just fucking pin down.
Yeah, they have a fossilized teddy bear there,
Yes.
which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So for the perspective of everyone else, it was in a mine, and so stalagmites and stalactites and the dripping of minerals and stuff from the roof of the mine would cause fossilization of the teddy bear.
Yeah.
The assertion is this could happen all over the world, everywhere,
Yes.
and that's why we're tricked.
Correct. Into believing dinosaurs are millions of years old.
So we were just trying to sort out our, like, how old do you think the Earth is? Because we need to establish a baseline respectfully before we can go forward. That took literally, like, 30 fucking minutes. He eventually said that he was a young Earther. So only then did we figure out the significance of the teddy bear. Because if someone's just screaming, like, hot words at you, you can't really...
Hot words.
I don't even know how to say it. Just like he literally was screaming about Planned Parenthood. I really felt like he was like, if I scream enough things, he screamed like pro-life. I don't even remember the context. But I really feel the goal was, if I scream enough things, they'll be angry about something.
So I'm looking at the images right now, because there's some images of this museum online. He's got a fossilized human leg in a cowboy boot. He has an iron pot in coal, the fossilized teddy bear, the fossilized hat, and then a fossil human footprint from the Permian rock. And then one of the Nampa statuettes. Yes.
That Permian footprint was obviously a time traveler.
So the other thing that was on there was the stuff about the carbon dating.
So then we go around the corner to the carbon dating.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you remember. I don't remember much about it. Was the C-14. I feel like carbon dating is a thing.
So I did a little bit of looking at it in the car on the way back. So part of the issue is that carbon dating past a certain point is no longer accurate. So they can only carbon date accurately up into a certain point, and then past that, it's not as accurate as they would want, which is a little bit more frustrating. So the numbers I found online, and it might be wrong because, again, it's okay. They said anything past 20,000 years, and they can give you a range of ages, but they cannot accurately pinpoint the carbon dating.
Imagine, like, if we could get a more accurate view of when it all happened in the past. Like, do you ever wonder what day of the week the asteroid hit and killed off all the dinosaurs? Was it a Monday?
Oh my god, no, but that's fun.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Not that the dinosaurs are gone. I'm sad about that.
So what was your, like, expectation of the Creationist Museum before we took you there? Like, what were you expecting to see?
I thought we were going to talk about Jesus, and I thought he was actually going to want Jesus to save me.
I
But-
think he wants to save people.
I don't think he does.
Oh.
But didn't he tell you he wanted Jesus to save you?
I tell people tons of shit that's not true every day.
Okay.
This is a $5 tour, guys. Like, this
Yes.
is what he gets off
Yes.
on. He wants to fight. He wants you to hate him.
And the funny thing is that in our tour and your tour, both times he seemed to forget that the $5 is even a thing that was like on his website that he requires.
We had to really battle to give him the $5.
Yes.
So we're on the third wall for anyone who's lost track, where we're talking about carbon dating. My friend is just like, wants to see the dinosaurs and is probably on like the verge of unfriending me. Just kidding. So then the next thing is he pulls us back to this geological column. Do you remember the geological column?
Yes, vaguely.
So he starts screaming about dinosaurs and shit, basically. Right?
Talking
Yes.
loudly. I want to reiterate, he's not screaming at the top of his lungs.
Well, okay, yeah. He's saying, so there's like all these different layers of rock was the gist of what I got of it. And he's saying there's nowhere in the world where they exist one on top of the other. And that's the geological evidence that creationists is real and other shit is not real.
Wow, he's never been to the Badlands then.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like all the layers wouldn't go together. Right?
Yeah, like there are places in the Badlands in Alberta where you can actually see the like different layers in the rock where the different periods were.
But can you see like every single one? Like, should they be stacked? Like, I don't know.
Not every single one you can't see just because some of it's still buried underground. But yeah, for a lot of the areas in there, you can see quite a few of the layers.
So he's saying that, like, our theory of an old world is wrong because you should be able to see 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know. I know some shit's underwater sometimes.
Yes.
I feel like it's can you just, if you took do you guys know like an apple core?
Yeah.
If you're going to core an apple, if you took a fucking big one and you went like to the melted core, should you be able to see it in chronological order? Yes or no? Or it's science and it's complicated is also acceptable.
I was going to say, it's a little more complicated than that. But in some areas in the world, yes, in fact, you can see the different layers up to a certain point, right? We still have layers that are buried under enough other layers that we're not going to see them until we start digging. But we should be able to, if we dug deep enough down, see all the layers that he's talking about.
See, that didn't even make an impact on me because I was like, should you be able to? Like, I have no fucking idea.
Yeah.
Maybe they're spread out. And he said most of them are, the most that we have is around the Grand Canyon, which maybe sounds right because...
Potentially, yeah. But we've got a lot more
hole.
of that area, uncovered.
So then we finally fucking start talking about dinosaurs. We've arrived.
Yay!
About his whole thing is that people and dinosaurs existed at the same time. You guys, it's straight up The Good Dinosaur. And if you haven't seen that movie, get out of our podcast.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
Get out of my podcast. This is his premise. I did not ask if he felt it was like The Good Dinosaur, but
The Flintstones for our viewers that are over a certain age.
yes, I'm sorry. And the baby of the podcast, it's not my fault. My co-hosts are 3,000.
Whoa.
You're as old as the earth, according to this fucking gentleman you made me spend the afternoon with.
How old does that make your mom then?
9 million.
Okay.
So yeah, his whole thing is that there's pictures of dinosaurs, like cave paintings and shit, as dragons, I guess was the point.
So not all of them are cave paintings. Some of them are actually like
Sculptures.
medieval reproductions.
Sure.
Because so again, this comes back to my Catholic upbringing. St. George is famous for slaying a dragon.
Yes, he is. In Australia, the St. George Bank is a dragon symbol.
Dragons do not exist. I can say this as a biologist. Other than Komodo dragons. Yeah, I can.
Bearded dragons.
Bearded dragons, but not the dragons that he apparently slayed.
He thinks that all of the mythology about dragons means that we live with dinosaurs.
Yes.
Side by side.
So, one of the things that was very entertaining on our tour is that was one of the things. He's like, well, what things do you think, like, we misidentified as dinosaurs, blah, blah, blah. And I hadn't said much the entire tour, but then this is something that I actually have done a bunch of research into. And so I said dragons, and he lost his mind. His eyes went wide. He's like, exactly! And I was like, whoa, that was not... Like, he was excited that I knew that, like, dragons were evidence of dinosaurs living at the same time. But I don't believe dragons are real.
It took us so long.
Yeah.
Because I swear, we rounded the corner. My friend tried to round the next corner like a champion. And he, like, called her back. And then he just started yelling about the paintings, but not the significance. Mm-hmm. I had to literally beat it out of him. Like, is the reason that people and dinosaurs lived at the same time because you found all this art? I said, is the art the proof? And this motherfucker looks me dead in the face and goes, no, the science is the proof. And I'm still mad.
At one point, Sydney's best friend took a washroom break, and apparently in the washroom there's a whole bunch of more art of dinosaurs with people plastered all over the walls.
I have to say, I'm devastated we didn't record this. We both thought about it. But he just jumped on us the moment we went through the door. I don't even remember how we got around the last corner, which leads you back to the front door. But the science is the proof, and it's not the art. I felt like the only reasonable thing was that because people drew fucking pictures of dragons, that they live with dinosaurs. He would also ask us, like, do you know this? Do you know that? Do you understand this? Do you understand Satanism? And I said, yeah. And then he started talking about stuff that was, like, not Satanism.
Have you ever seen that
I'm so tired and so defeated.
Supercut of Jonathan Frakes from when he was doing Fact and Fiction, and he's just, like, asking the questions? that would like lead off to the start of the segments is like, do you believe in life after death? Do you believe that monsters are real? And it's like a whole bunch of wrong, like non sequitur questions. Just imagining
It's
that,
like,
but
yeah,
more
like, what
aggressive.
happened? Yeah, that's like what happened. Because he wouldn't even be talking about the thing that he asked you, right?
No.
Like,
No.
and he did not notice my little demon pendant, which I made a point of wearing, which has not made me rich. Hashtag wake up demon. That's my update on my demon pendant that I said I would wear. I wore it.
I'm glad you're wearing it.
Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't lose it on purpose.
No, I only lost it for 5 minutes. I've actually been wearing it every day. I was too scared to sleep with it for the first like 3 or 4 days. And then I think I like took a hike, or it was actually probably the first day of Gold Hunt. I was so fucking exhausted, I slept with it on. I think that I'm wearing this little demon pendant. First of all, I think what you put into it, you get out of it. I picked the easiest one, so I'm not surprised that I'm not rich yet.
You're not going to get that easy money?
Well, but we're talking, Cheryl had to make a little pouch, and you had to cast a spell, and you fucked it up, and almost disowned you over it. But then you were comeback champion.
I recovered it.
If you ever fuck up a spell and don't tell me, though, like, we can't be family anymore. I don't have time for you to...
Be careful. Chris likes to torment you.
I don't have time. I don't have time for your weird fucked up. Like, just
Next
do it
time
properly.
I'm over at your place, you're going to like, where's Chris been? Like, he's supposed to be visiting. And then you'll like open up your bedroom door.
Listen,
and I'll have,
I'm really
like candles everywhere. And I'll be like reading from like some old dusty book.
I'm going to say...
And like, oh no, you interrupted me.
I'm very comfortable saying this on the air, that if you ever, like, fuck up a witch spell in my house, I'll end your life. Don't do scary stuff, though. But I feel like there's an implicit effort in casting a spell for 9 days or 18 days or all that. There's an implicit effort in making a little pouch. There's not a lot of effort in wearing a pendant.
After the whole company messing with my paycheck, I kind of stopped paying as much attention to my pouch.
Little pouch?
Yeah.
Maybe it was a test.
I don't know. But now I've not been doing all the stuff that it says that I should be doing because I'm like, screw that. It didn't work the way I wanted it to. But I did have one moment of panic when our company was discussing the possibility of losing the wage subsidy, where I like took a couple nights and I like squeezed the pouch and I was like, please, wage subsidy, come back. And it sounds like it's lasting until at least for another few weeks. So maybe that's a good sign. I don't know.
I really think my little Bune demon, I made the joke on the last podcast that I think I will get rich in something ridiculous. And I feel like that's when you steal someone's punchline. So I feel like he's chilling, he's waiting. I provoke him all the time by being like, wake up, and I make little jokes. But he's waiting till I just like forget. And then I'm going to get real rich in something real fucking stupid is my official position.
Like tabs off pop cans.
Something, anything.
The Creationist Museum guy is going to list you as his heir for his museum, and you'll be rich.
That's going to be it. Yeah.
So I found something online that said the entire museum is about $200,000 worth of...
Whoa.
So
there you go.
Including the property or no?
Apparently, including the property.
Kind of makes me feel better. Because the property is going to be like, what, 100K?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. His fake fossils are probably worth less, though.
I think they're probably resin. He was telling us stuff was
yeah,
real,
they're not real.
Listen, but I can get a fucking expert on the show that knows what resin looks like.
So
Test me.
We were thinking it would be fun, and if any of our podcast listeners who are trained professionals are interested and feel like making a trip to our end of the country, it might be kind of fun to get together a group of experts and send them to this museum to argue with him.
He loves it, though.
Yes,
he
he loves it. But you know what? It might be funny to see if an actual expert who's willing to argue and loves to argue just as much as he does could actually put him in his place.
I'm telling you, I'm not trying to be like, say you're wrong. Sorry, I said no aggressively. I apologize. But like, from the shit that he said today.
Oh, I know.
And I'm not even trying to, he was literally becoming fully erect talking about PhDs coming into his fucking museum. If you have a PhD. Okay, I didn't look. But like, it was weird. It was not comfortable. I should not say literally. I'm being hyperbolic.
Figuratively.
He's figuratively. Yeah, it's so wrong to say again. I can't. But I'm telling you, he told me a million times. Told us a million times. I love when experts come in. I love when PhD people come in. That's his fetish. I am not king shaming. I'm just saying. Mm-hmm. He wants it, and I don't know if we should facilitate it.
He should be getting people's consent.
He should be.
If this is a fetish.
But he's not, because he's a raper. He said he would be a fucking raper. He said, if evolution, this is not like a direct quote, but this is like as well as I can paraphrase, says, if evolution plays out to the logical end of whatever evolution is, I guess, that everyone would be like a raper.
So now that we've gone
Segue.
completely off tangent,
Sorry.
At what point was it, like, how soon after your dinosaur thing did Chris and I reach out and be like, do we need to save you?
That was still so far in the future.
Okay.
It was so far. Because he kept trying to pull us back, right? So we went to the dinosaurs. He pulled us back to the geological column. When we went to around that second quarter, he would try and pull us back into the first column. Mm-hmm. The only reason I went back a little bit was because he was screaming about Mount Isa, about how they say that it's like millions of years old or whatever, and he's saying it's like not 5 years. That's exaggeration, but he's saying it's not that old.
Yeah.
Basically. And I have been to Mount Isa, and none of the miners told me that it was 5,000 years old. So we get around the next corner eventually, because my friend is like fucking done, and then he starts talking about the ark, and I honestly missed a bunch of it because I was just like, you only have so much attention in your head. And the main point I feel is that the ark was not a boat. It was a box boat.
I just tried Googling like what the differences between a boat and a box boat is, and there's like some people on internet forums are saying that in the Bible, because they give like the dimensions of the boat and its main description just to be like length, height, and width, that some people are saying it was just a large box he had built, and not a like a
boat
hydrodynamic ship.
It's not like a ship. No, it's not.
It's
Sorry,
like if you put an apple crate in the pond.
But but doesn't he show that mountain that has like the box, the boat shaped thing on it?
Yeah, and I said, if I go to the mountain, will I see the thing? And he said, if you go at a certain time, every 20 years it disappears and reappears under the ice, which I don't understand because I feel like all the ice is melting, but I'm not a scientist.
Maybe they just keep bringing in more ice.
I guess so. And then he told me I wouldn't be
Pouring it on
able.
top.
I forget where in the world it was. He told me I wouldn't be able to get past the people that guard the mountain. And I looked him dead in the face in my one moment of bravery and said they gotta sleep sometime. And he did not think it was funny. But it was funny.
I enjoyed it.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. And then he said, well, you don't have millions of dollars. And you can't climb the mountain without millions of dollars. I'm just trying to figure out where the fucking boat is. Like, so...
Just let me see.
It's Mount Ararat. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think you might be
yeah.
right.
That name rings a bell.
But just let me see. Is the boat there for real? And then I literally was like, I say literally a lot for everyone that's upset. Here's my one and only apology.
I'll just copy and paste it throughout the episode.
Just put it at the beginning of every episode. Sydney says literally when she means other things. But I was like, I didn't understand, why is a box boat bad? Like, if someone told me that, like, blah, 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 Noah built an ark, and then we found out it was historical, and then we found out it wasn't a ship, it was a box. Like, I don't understand, like, why is that bad?
So, I guess the only thing would be is that based on the surface area of a box, it would not float properly. Because... it's always going to kind of turn to... I don't know if you've ever played with, like, blocks in the bathtub or something like that.
I've never seen a block in my life.
Okay.
I haven't. No, wait. That was a joke.
They don't float on the
Grew up
flat
poor.
surface. So if you built a cube, it would tilt to one corner.
So you need the triangle part at the bottom?
Correct. So that would be a bit of an issue if you're hoping for it to float.
See, I didn't even know that. I didn't know. I don't know fucking anything about physics. I was just like, why is the box
I don't know
bad?
anything about physics either. All I'm doing is based on, like, I remember playing with blocks as a kid in the bathtub, and that's how they float. They float, but they don't float flat surface down. They always will turn to one corner and float on the one corner.
Interesting.
Yeah. So you couldn't build a boat like that because it wouldn't float properly.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that we need some Navy dudes on the podcast.
Correct.
Single dudes only.
If there are any sailors out there, you could email us proper boat technology at iwentoutsidetodaypod@gmail.com. You can explain to us how boats stay upright in the water and why a box would not.
Why is the box bad? I didn't you can't just scream, a box! And, like, I don't understand. I'm not with you. I don't...
You need to, like...
You need to ease people into your conspiracy. You need to be
true.
a lot more gentle. If you want to be Jim Jones, not that I'm condoning it.
You gotta L. Ron Hubbard them.
Yeah, there's a method to madness. Can we agree?
Yeah.
Yes.
You gotta put that toad in the cold water and then turn up the heat.
This guy was just crazy. I had no idea what was going on the whole time, and then I got real upset in the car ride home. Like, you have to...
When Sydney and her friend got in the car, they were just, like, laughing to the point of hysterics, but I think it was just, like...
Coping mechanism.
Yeah, it was, like, all the pent up, like, what the hell did we just experience at once coming out in, like...
And also, okay, so they picked us up at 11. I didn't eat breakfast because I cannot sort my life out. We get in the car at 11. I've only had coffee. We get to the place at 2 about, and then we do a 3-hour tour. So from waking up to 5 p.m., I didn't eat anything.
Yeah.
So I was just fucked. Like, you need carbs for your brain to work. And I was, like, not at peak game.
Well, Jasmine had been eating, and she was still laughing hysterically. And I was laughing so hard, I was almost crying, and I was driving, so...
Yeah, coping mechanism. Thank God she had a snack, or we would have been fucked. Like, she had a bit more of the brain power than I did.
What do they call it when people have, like, a reaction that's kind of contrary to the events? Like, when people, like, can't stop laughing at a funeral, or, like, cry when they have sex? It's like a...
I don't know. I'm sad for people that happens to.
I would have to look it up. I don't know.
I don't know what it's called, but, like, I get it maybe a little.
Mm-hmm.
It's, like, an inappropriate reaction.
Yes.
I feel like what happened. Like, we were laughing, but, like, then later I was getting more and more upset.
Yeah, you were just like, what the hell? Like,
because you start to process
it.
And I think I also started thinking about, like, being there alone. Like, I told her I owe her a dinner, like, whatever she wants. And, like, she's so good. You guys saw she's, like... pretty chill.
She at one point she was like, I couldn't think of a better way to spend my Saturday. We had even invited Jasmine to come record the podcast with us, and she's like, I just need silence. I need to, like, process everything that I just heard. And
she needed to go to her safe space.
Yes. And when Chris and I did it, it was the same sort of thing. Like, there was a lot of, like, silence in the car as we're, like, processing what we just heard. And then it would be like, but he's crazy, right? And it would be, like, talking about something he'd said, and then would go back to more silence. Like, it's like, what is going on?
I have had no silence, so I'll probably weep myself to sleep tonight.
Okay.
And I think that Cheryl put it the best that any of us can put it, that this person, like, first of all, they're up to no good, but second of all, they know enough to be dangerous.
Yeah.
And we've read some of the reviews, and it's, like, not okay.
No. The reviews are also, they're either really positive, like, they wholeheartedly agree that this man is, like, the smartest man on earth, or they're like, what the hell just happened? Like, I don't even know how to process what just happened. He's crazy. And I've never seen reviews on Google that are so, like,
polarizing.
Yeah. Like, it's just so weird to, like, look at the reviews and be like, but this guy is crazy. And see all the people that are like, no, like, he's a genius. And it's like, no, he's not.
So, around the time about the box and the ark, Jasmine, like, wanted to leave. Around the time about the box and the ark, my friend wanted to leave. And she was, like, pretty done. And she went to the washroom, and I was just like, fuck. Like, she's really carried us. She's running around on the corner. She's trying to get us out of here. I need to pull my weight. I need to figure out a way to get us out of here. So she comes out of the bathroom and she gets her coat on, which is like a sign like we want to leave. And he's still talking. And I grab my phone. I said, my brother's texting me like, we got to go. And he says, you have to see the dragons before you leave. And I have to say, like, at some point, like, I'm making fun and making a lot of jokes, but like, I felt bad for him at some points, and I felt like sad for him because I felt like it's sad to be angry and believing all this stuff and like worked up about it. And I don't know if I totally had like Stockholm syndrome or was like, I'm like kind of making a joke, but I'm kind of not. Like the way that he said you have to see the dragons, I felt like I didn't want to be rude and just walk out. But then it wasn't, so he was, when I say you have to see the dragons, he was holding a book. And he was like, people like shake and go crazy for how much they believe this stuff or how much they're converted when they like see the dragons. And then he showed us a whole book that was like the same shit as the wall of like people drew dinosaurs and dragons are real. Like, I don't know.
How stoked would you have been like if he went around the counter and then like he picked up a leash and he walked out a baby dragon in front of you?
I would have lost it if it was some Harry Potter shit. Like the little baby Norbert. I literally every day of my life, I'm like, what if the other dragons are mean to him is my favorite thing that's ever been said.
And so about this time that Sydney is getting pushed the book about dragons, we are texting her friend who has been like, please send help. And
I felt too rude to text. This is like a problem that I'm going to work on.
And so and Chris was like, well, seriously? And she's like, yes, seriously. So Chris ended up calling Sydney on the phone.
I hung up on you because I didn't want to be rude. I had him on the phone for like 20 seconds and then I was like, it's rude. And then I just, if you listened, that's why I like abruptly hung up on you.
Yeah, Chris is like, she hung up on me. And I was like, oh, all right.
Sorry. Don't send me to cults by myself, as we've now learned. Because I'll be fucking worried about being rude. Listen, you have to learn about yourself and how you react in situations. And now we know. Like,
we did have some cults on our list too. How do you feel about going to a cult meeting now?
Yeah.
I want an extraction team within an hour.
Okay.
That's my new rule. Because I would like to get better at being not rude and not telling people they're whatever, but I need to be more assertive.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a good lesson for me.
Yeah.
We should keep sending you back there until you learn to be assertive.
I mean, if he ever wants to change gears, I think that's the way. I feel like there's plenty. I feel like sometimes when we actually pull off an event and I went outside today, you guys ask me if I would recommend this. I would say I don't recommend this. I don't think you need to go be gaslighted by people and have nonsensical, confusing conversations with people that are trying to overwhelm you with inaccurate information and make you feel stupid. And for the love of Christ, you should not bring your children here. We've seen reviews from people that brought children.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do it.
No, don't do it.
Honestly, don't even do it in a joke.
Unless you want to be like a bad parent, then
Yes.
you know this is the place to go.
Yes.
If you're looking for early trauma, this is the place.
Or if you also get off on having arguments with people that you can't win, this might be the place to do it.
And that's the thing, no matter how smart you think you are,
Yeah.
like we've seen so many reviews of people that lasted 2 hours, 3, like I feel like we're reigning champs. I throw down the gauntlet. We made it 3 hours. Chris and Cheryl made it 2.5 hours. Fuck you, I win. For people that did not enjoy themselves, some motherfucker spent 4 hours there.
Yeah.
And he wrote a glowing review.
Had a grand old time. He probably walked in an atheist. I bet you anything. It's not worth your time.
No.
I don't recommend it as I went outside today event.
If you want an experience you will never, ever, ever forget.
Yeah.
You won't forget it, but also I'm telling you, no matter what you do, no matter what you say, this guy was like literally salivating, fiending for PhDs. He wants you there to just be weird, to fight with. It doesn't matter what you say, he's gonna go home.
Yeah. If you go like, if you're going to engage, you're in for like a fight. And
He wants to be hated.
Yes.
He wants to know that you're upset.
Yes.
I hope he never finds this podcast. Everyone else, yes, but not this person.
So because we don't want to traumatize Sydney the same way as this, we're the next event we're sending you to is relationship workshops.
So that could be trauma in a different way.
Yes, correct. And we'll have to see whether you feel comfortable recording or not. The one you're doing on your own is on attachment styles.
Oh, I hate that.
Okay.
I'm here for it, though. I'm here to be your friend. I'm here to say all of the awkward things from my point of view.
For the people that I have suggested the attachment styles thing for before, usually they come back being like, it explains a lot, and it is eye-opening for them. Mm-hmm. The next course, however, Chris and I are also doing, which is a personality test.
Like the Myers-Briggs personality test, where it's like
I've done it.
INTJ or...
I did them little tests with ink blots.
We're not sure what it is. We signed up for the course with you. It's like a Zoom meeting. We're gonna all sit down. It's free.
If I'm gonna be vulnerable and share my personality and attachment styles, I'm gonna ask people not to be rude.
Yes.
They're gonna be rude. People are gonna say mean things about me.
You know what? I'll be brutally honest about mine, and my attachment styles are quite different than what you would think they are.
Mine's gonna be bad.
I'm
just gonna tell you that.
I'll leave mine for the podcast when it happens, and we've all discussed it, but mine is also bad.
We can be in it together, sister.
Yes, correct.
I think that about wraps up the episode. I just
do
have
our guesses.
Yes, 5 questions here for you. David Demort.
Nope.
Aiden Demort.
Nope. But I know an Aiden. You're a dum-dum.
Jesse Demort.
Nope.
Dylan Demort.
No.
And Ben Demort.
Nope.
Ooh. I'm going to add
Take your shot.
Ryan Demort.
Nope.
Brian Demort.
Nope. I'll give you 5.
Kenneth Demort.
No. What a gross name.
You date a person named Kenneth.
Stephen Demort.
Nope. Last one.
I'm gonna make this good. Chris Demort.
No. If anyone guesses it, if you haven't guessed it by the time the podcast is out, I will give you $1 million fake dollars because I have no real dollars. Listen, I'll give you a hint. Do you watch The 100?
No.
That's your own fault. So in The 100.
Demort.
Okay, are you familiar with what a fuckboy is?
Yes.
Cool. So I follow a thing called Fuckboy Nation.
Okay.
In The 100, they got all their little things. So there's as Get a Nation. The person, it's a name that's it's so at its core a fuckboy name. I'm sorry for anyone else named this name, but I've never had a good experience with anyone named your name. It's such a fuckboy nation name that it's literally as Get a Nation. From The 100, they're the bad guys.
Okay.
It's that level of fuckboy. But you're gonna have to watch 7 seasons of The 100 for the context of that.
Do you know that Demort means of death?
Ooh, interesting. Yeah, that fits.
Okay.
Fuck you. I'm kidding. I'm not.
And a vole is a small rodent.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fun. Yeah,
So
I knew that.
He's the rodent of death.
Yes.
Rodent of death. That's so funny.
Well, that wraps it up.
Does it though?
That wraps it up for this episode of I Went Outside Today. This is your host, Chris, signing off.
Cheryl?
I'm Sydney. I regret doing the things.
Enjoy your therapy, Sydney.
Thank you. I will.
Thanks for listening to this very special episode of I Went Outside Today. If you have comments, compliments, or just suggestions of what Sydney should take part in, send them to us on our I Went Outside Today Facebook page or by email to iwentoutsidetodaypod@gmail.com. Also, if you could give us a positive rating and review wherever you listen to your podcast and share us with your friends, we would really appreciate you helping our small podcast become a little bigger.